Welcome to After Hours, where stories come alive after dark. I'm Vaughn. 5 nights. 5 nights we've been here together, and some of you called it from night 1. At Eric Leggett 7555 said it best, trust no one. You've been watching closely. I see that. At Kimoria 453, you said you were intrigued. Conspiracies and investigative journalism. You said count me in. Well, you're about to get exactly what you asked for. And at Suzanne Codner 2129, you said the tension had you locked in. Good, because tonight we tighten the screws. Amara Okafor is in London. She has a name, Nexus Group. She has a target, the shadow company behind 147 disappearances. She has a mission, find the truth, expose the network, get justice for her brother. But truth has a price, and tonight she's going to find out just how high that price can be. This is The Signal, Episode 5, The Archive. Previously on The Signal, Amara arrived in London. Invisible. Off the grid. Traveling under a false identity. Catherine Obi, a woman who didn't exist until 3 weeks ago. She found Malcolm Reed, the broker, a man who trades in secrets the way others trade in stocks. Reed gave her what she needed. Nexus Group, the company behind the signal. A legitimate security firm on the surface. Underneath, a killing machine for the global elite. Eleanor Vance, CEO. A woman who sees herself as a gardener, pruning the weeds that threaten the powerful. Simon Cross, Head of Operations. Former MI6. The man who ordered her brother's death. And a name. Marcus Webb, a former Nexus operative who had a crisis of conscience, who saw something so terrible it broke him, who ran to Sao Paulo and has been hiding ever since. If Amara can find him, if she can convince him to talk, Webb is her key to bringing Nexus down. But before she can go to Sao Paulo, she needs proof, evidence, something more than intercepted signals and connecting the dots. Tonight, Amara Okafor goes hunting. 3 days in London, Amara had spent them studying, learning, mapping the terrain the way she'd been trained at GCHQ, understanding the enemy before engaging. Reed's folder had given her the public face. Nexus headquarters in Mayfair. The glass tower. The security protocols. But it also mentioned something else. A data management subsidiary. Meridian Secure Archives. Registered in the Channel Islands, operated from a facility in East London. On paper, Meridian stored sensitive documents for law firms and financial institutions. Encrypted servers. Climate-controlled vaults. The kind of place that promised discretion and delivered it. What the paper didn't say was that Meridian was wholly owned by a holding company that traced back, through 3 layers of corporate shell games, to Nexus Group. Amara had spent 2 days pulling those threads. Company registrations, director filings, the digital breadcrumbs that even the most careful corporations leave behind. And now she knew where the real archive was. The Meridian facility sat in an industrial park near the Royal Docks. Unmarked. Anonymous. A gray building among gray buildings, the kind of place you drove past without noticing. That was intentional. Amara stood across the street, pretending to wait for a bus. Her eyes tracked the entrance. The security camera above the door. The keypad lock. The single guard visible through the lobby window.
1 guard. Electronic lock. Camera with a blind spot on the east corner.
She counted employees leaving at shift change. Watched the patterns. Noted the badge system. Proximity cards. Green LED when access granted. Getting in would be difficult. Not impossible. Difficult. She'd need a badge. She'd need timing. She'd need to move fast once inside. And she'd need help. Amara pulled out her burner phone and composed a message. Encrypted. Routed through servers in Iceland and Malaysia before reaching its destination.
Yuki. I need eyes on a facility. London. Sending coordinates. What can you see?
12 time zones away, in a cramped apartment in Shibuya, Yuki Tanaka read the message and smiled. She was 26, Japanese American, a prodigy who had been writing code since she was 8 and hacking corporate systems since she was 12. She'd done 2 years in a federal facility for that, caught at 16, tried as an adult, released at 18 with a reputation that followed her everywhere. Now she worked freelance. Digital security for people the system had failed. Investigations that the police wouldn't touch. The kind of work that didn't come with business cards. Amara had found her through Daniel, a mutual contact in the underground network of people who traded in truth.
Meridian Secure Archives, London. Give me 20 minutes.
Yuki's fingers flew across the keyboard. 3 monitors glowed in the darkness of her apartment. One showed code. One showed a building schematic she was downloading from a construction archive. One showed a real-time traffic feed from a camera she'd already compromised. She was inside Meridian's network in 18 minutes. Not fully inside. Their core systems were air-gapped, disconnected from any external network, but inside enough.
Interesting. Very interesting.
She found employee schedules, security protocols, a map of the building's layout, and something else, a manifest, a list of clients and the data stored for each. Most of it was legitimate. Law firms, banks, hedge funds, the usual clients for a secure archive facility. But one section was different. Encrypted, password protected with military-grade security, client designation, NXG Prime.
Nexus. There you are. She composed a response to Amara. Building layout attached. Security rotations every 90 minutes. Server room is basement level, east wing. Air gap systems. You'll need physical access. Good news. I can loop the cameras for 12 minutes. Bad news. There's a biometric lock on the server room door. You'll need a palm print.
Amara read Yuki's response in the back of a cafe in Shoreditch. The cafe was called The Grind. Exposed brick walls. Vintage furniture that had been carefully distressed to look older than it was. The soundtrack of espresso machines and quiet conversation. The kind of place where people came to work on laptops, to look busy, to be alone in public. Perfect for someone who needed to disappear into the background. Her coffee had gone cold an hour ago. She hadn't noticed. A palm print. Biometric security. That meant she couldn't just break in. Couldn't hack her way through. Couldn't find a back door. The security was physical, biological, tied to a specific person's body. She needed an employee. Someone with access to the server room. Someone willing to help a stranger commit corporate espionage. She scrolled through the employee data Yuki had attached. Faces. Names. Access levels. The digital identities of 37 people who worked at Meridian Secure Archives. Most were general staff. Archives clerks who moved boxes and filed paperwork. IT maintenance who kept the systems running. Cleaning crew who emptied trash cans and mopped floors. Basic access only. None of them could get her where she needed to go. But 3 names had server room clearance, red badges, the keys to the kingdom. The facility manager, Alan Crawford. 58. Married. 2 adult children. 20 years with the company. Loyal to a fault. Too risky. The senior IT engineer, Priya Sharma. 42. Single, ambitious, angling for a promotion. Would report anything suspicious to prove her value. Too dangerous. And a night shift security supervisor named David Okoro.
Nigerian name. Could be second generation, could be recent immigrant, could be useful.
She searched for more. Social media. Public records. The digital shadow that everyone leaves. David Okoro. 34. Born in London to Nigerian parents. University of Westminster, computer science degree. Joined Meridian 3 years ago. Divorced. 1 child. Payments to an address in Lewisham. He worked the night shift. Thursdays through Sundays. Tomorrow is Thursday.
Everyone has a pressure point. Everyone has something they need.
She hated this part. using people, finding their vulnerabilities and exploiting them. But 147 people had been disappeared. Her brother had been murdered. And somewhere in that server room was the evidence she needed to prove it. She composed a message back to Yuki.
I have a target. David Okoro, night security supervisor. I need leverage. Something that makes him willing to help. The response came faster than expected.
Already looked. He's clean. No debts, no scandals. But there's something else. His mother is in a nursing home in Lagos. Visa issues with bringing her here. He's been fighting immigration for 2 years.
Amara stared at the message. Not leverage, an offer. She knew people. People who could help with exactly this kind of problem. Contacts from her days in London, before GCHQ, before Lagos, before any of this. If she could offer Okoro what he actually needed, maybe he'd give her what she needed in return. Not coercion. Exchange. It felt cleaner. It still felt wrong. But wrong was all she had left. Thursday night, 10:47 p.m. David Okoro finished his coffee in the Meridian break room and started his rounds. 20 years of security work had made the routine automatic. Check the corridors. Verify the locks. Log the status. His mind was elsewhere. His mother. The care home in Lagos was getting more expensive. The visa application had been rejected again. 3 years of paperwork and lawyers and waiting, and still nothing. He was tired. Tired of fighting a system that didn't care. The door to the loading dock opened as he approached. A woman stepped inside, hands raised, no threat in her posture.
David Okoro?
This is a secure facility. You need to leave. Now.
I will, but first, I need you to hear what I have to say.
Okoro's hand moved toward his radio. Standard procedure. Unknown intruder. Call for backup.
Your mother's name is Adaize. She's in a care facility in Surulere. You've been trying to bring her to London for 3 years. The Home Office rejected your last application 6 weeks ago.
He stopped, his hand frozen on the radio.
Who are you?
Someone who needs your help. And someone who can help you in return.
I could have you arrested right now. Trespassing. Breaking and entering.
You could, but then you'd never hear what I'm offering.
She could see him calculating. Risk assessment. The same kind of thinking she did every day.
You have 30 seconds.
I know an immigration lawyer. One of the best in London. She handles cases like your mother's. Complex cases. Cases the Home Office has decided to bury. I can get her to take your case. Pro bono. And I can guarantee she'll win. Your mother will be in London within 6 months.
And in exchange?
10 minutes in the server room. That's all I need.
The silence stretched. David Okoro was not a stupid man. He knew what she was asking. He knew the risk.
Whatever's on those servers, it must be important.
Important enough that people have died for it. Important enough that more people will die if I don't get the evidence.
Who are you, really?
My name is Amara Okafor. I'm a cybersecurity analyst. Or I was. Now I'm someone trying to stop a company that makes people disappear.
Disappear?
Journalists. Activists. Whistleblowers. Anyone who threatens the interests of the powerful. 147 of them, over 8 years. My brother was one.
Something shifted in Okoro's face. Recognition. Not of the name, but of the type.
I've noticed things. Working here. Files that don't match the official client list. Servers that no one talks about. People who visit and never sign in. I told myself, it wasn't my business. I told myself I was just security. I didn't want to know.
I understand. But now you do know. And you can help stop it.
Okoro was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different. Resolved.
The server room is monitored. Cameras on a separate system from the main facility. Even if your hacker friend loops the feeds, there's a local backup that records everything.
Can you disable it?
I can buy you time. There's a diagnostic mode. It suspends recording for 15 minutes while it runs system checks. I can trigger it remotely. But you need to be fast. And you need to tell me the truth. What exactly is on those servers?
Proof that a company called Nexus Group has been killing people for profit. Client lists, operation summaries, names, dates, locations. If I can get that evidence, I can expose them. All of them.
And if you can't?
Then I disappear too. And nothing changes.
Okoro looked at her for a long moment, measuring, deciding. Then he nodded.
Follow me.
The server room was cold. Rows of black cabinets stretched into the darkness, LED lights blinking in patterns that meant something to the machines, but nothing to humans. The hum of cooling systems, the whisper of data moving at the speed of light. Okoro swiped his palm across the biometric reader. The door clicked open.
15 minutes. The diagnostic started 30 seconds ago.
That's enough. Okoro hesitated at the door.
I'll be outside, watching the corridors. If anyone comes, I'll warn you.
Thank you.
Don't thank me yet. Thank me when your immigration lawyer delivers.
He closed the door behind her. Amara stood alone in the archive. 147 people's deaths stored in silicon and circuitry. Her brother's murder, reduced to data points on a server somewhere in this room. She got to work. She'd brought tools, a portable drive, a decryption key that Yuki had prepared, and 3 years of training in exactly this kind of work. The NXG Prime server was in the far corner, isolated from the others, its own power supply, its own cooling unit, the kind of setup that cost a fortune to maintain, the kind of setup you only use for data that couldn't be lost. Amara plugged in her drive and started the transfer. Files began to populate, encrypted, but downloading. She'd decrypt them later when she was safe. If she was ever safe again. As the progress bar crept forward, she browsed the file structure, looking for anything she could read now, anything that might give her an edge. Most of it was locked. The encryption was sophisticated. Yuki would need hours, maybe days, to crack it fully. But one folder was different, labeled Protocols in plain text. She opened it. Inside were documents, operational guidelines, naming conventions, the bureaucracy of murder. She scanned them quickly. Protocol designations, geographic assignments, resource allocation. And then she found it. A file labeled Nairobi-2019. Her hands trembled as she opened it.
Operation designation, Nairobi Protocol. Date, August 2019. Target, multiple. Asset, S-cross. Outcome, resolved.
She scrolled down. Names appeared. 5 of them. 4 she didn't recognize. 1 she did.
Target 4, Okafor E. Journalist. Investigation, Meridian Mining Pollution Cover-up. Client, Meridian Mining Limited Resolution Terminate. Method, vehicle accident. There it was, in black and white, in official language, stripped of humanity. Her brother's murder. Documented. Filed. Resolved. Like a purchase order. Like an invoice. Like nothing at all.
Amara felt something break inside her. Not collapse. Break open. A wall she'd built to keep functioning, to keep moving forward, crumbling under the weight of proof. She remembered the phone call. 3 years ago. Standing in her kitchen in Lagos, making breakfast, when her mother's voice came through the speaker. There's been an accident. Emeka. Come quickly. She remembered the hospital. The white sheets. The machines that beeped until they didn't. She remembered the funeral. The rain. The way her father had aged 10 years in a single week. She remembered telling herself it was an accident. A terrible, random accident. The kind of thing that happened in a city of 20 million people. And now she knew the truth. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. It was a decision, made in a boardroom, signed off by executives, executed by professionals. Her brother had died because he asked questions, because he wrote stories, because he threatened someone's profits. She'd known. Of course she'd known. But knowing and seeing were different things. Seeing made it real. Seeing made it permanent. Seeing meant she could never go back to not knowing. The progress bar showed 67%. 8 more minutes. She forced herself to keep reading. The Nairobi Protocol wasn't just about Amaka. It was a sweep. 5 journalists. 5 investigations. 5 threats to 5 different consortium clients. All eliminated in a single week. Made to look like accidents, suicides, random violence. The kind of deaths that happened every day in cities around the world. Nobody connected them. Nobody saw the pattern. Because nobody was supposed to. She scrolled further. The protocol was still active. Updated as recently as 3 months ago. Current status. Monitoring. Subjects. 12 active. 12 more journalists. 12 more investigations. 12 more people marked for death. Amara photographed the screen. Then photographed it again. This was what she needed. Not just evidence of past crimes. Evidence of ongoing operations. Evidence that could save lives. The progress bar hit 100%. Transfer complete. Amara pulled the drive and slipped it into her pocket. She had what she came for. Now she had to get out. Okoro was waiting in the corridor. His face was tight. Alert.
Someone's coming. Facility manager. He's not supposed to be here tonight.
How long?
3 minutes. Maybe less.
3 minutes. Not enough time to leave the way she came.
Is there another exit?
Service corridor. Leads to the parking garage. But you'll need my badge. He pulled the lanyard from around his neck. Handed her the access card.
What about you?
Say I lost it, dropped it somewhere. They'll believe me. They don't expect security to be the security breach.
David. The lawyer. I wasn't lying. I'll make that call tomorrow.
I know. Go. Now.
Amara moved. Fast. Silent. Down the service corridor, past mechanical rooms and storage closets. The parking garage was dark. Cold. Her footsteps echoed on concrete. She swiped Okoro's badge at the exit door. Green light. The door clicked open. London night air hit her face. Damp. Clean. The smell of freedom. She walked, not running. Running attracted attention. Just walking. Casual. Another night worker heading home. 2 blocks away, she allowed herself to breathe. She had it. The evidence. The Nairobi Protocol. Her brother's name on a kill order. And something else. Something she hadn't expected. The cipher. The encryption on the main files was familiar. She had seen the architecture before. At GCHQ in a briefing about next-generation biometric security. The cipher wasn't a code. It was a person. The encryption key was embedded in biometric data. Someone's palm print. Someone's retinal scan. Maybe even someone's DNA. To fully decrypt the archive, she would need to get close to a Nexus executive. Close enough to clone their biometrics. She would need to go to Nairobi. 6 hours later, Eleanor Vance sat in her office watching the sun rise over London. The Nexus Group headquarters occupied the top 5 floors of a glass tower in Mayfair. The kind of building that costs more per square foot than most people earned in a year. The kind of building that announced its power without saying a word. Eleanor's office was on the 47th floor. Corner suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 sides. A view that encompassed the Thames, the city, the sprawl of a metropolis that had been running the world for centuries. She had decorated it herself. Minimalist. Cold. A glass desk that held nothing but a laptop in a single orchid. White leather chairs. Art on the walls that was valuable but deliberately uncomfortable. Abstract shapes and shades of gray and black. The office of someone who didn't need to prove anything. The office of someone who had already won. The call had come at 4 a.m. Security breach. Meridian facility. NXG Prime server accessed. She hadn't slept since. Chen Wei's face filled the screen in front of her. Singapore. 8 hours ahead. He'd been awake for the entire night as well.
The logs show a complete download of the Nairobi Protocol folder. Partial download of the client manifest. Approximately 12 gigabytes of data.
Encrypted?
Yes, but the protocol folder was in plaintext, standard documentation format. If they have that, they have operational details, target names, methods, outcomes.
The biometric lock.
Bypassed using an authorized palm print. Security supervisor named David Okoro. He claims he lost his access badge earlier in the shift, but the timing is suspicious.
Bring him in for questioning.
Already done. He's being held at a secondary location. But Eleanor? There's more. The intruder left a digital signature. Fragments of code. Routing patterns. We've seen this signature before. It matches an intrusion into our Lagos communication server 3 weeks ago.
Okafor.
It appears so. She's in London, and she now has documented evidence of our operations.
Eleanor Vance was not a woman who showed emotion. Emotion was weakness. Emotion was liability. But in this moment, something cold moved behind her eyes. Something ancient and predatory.
Where is Cross?
Still in Lagos, running down leads on her support network.
Recall him. London. Immediately. And authorize full resources.
You want to elevate this to priority status?
I want her found. I want the evidence recovered. And I want this situation resolved before it spreads any further.
Understood. And the security supervisor? Okoro?
Eleanor's voice was flat. Empty.
Handle it. Make it clean.
3,000 miles away, Simon Cross's phone buzzed in his pocket. He was sitting in a cafe in Lagos, Victoria Island. The kind of place where expatriates gathered to drink overpriced coffee and complain about the heat. He had been here for 6 days, working contacts, pulling threads, building a picture of Amara Okafor's network. The message was encrypted. Priority 1.
Return London immediately. Full resources authorized. Target confirmed in country.
Cross set down his coffee. Something cold moved through his chest. Full resources. That meant the gloves were off. That meant Eleanor had decided this situation required resolution, not management. He had been right about Okafor. She was in London. She had made a move. And she had made a mistake. He paid his bill in cash and walked out into the Lagos afternoon. The heat pressed against him like a living thing. Traffic noise. Market sounds. The chaos of a city that never slowed down. He would miss this place. Lagos had an energy that most cities lacked. A rawness. A refusal to be tamed. But the mission came first. The mission always came first. He made a call. Arrangements. A private flight from Murtala Mohammed to London City Airport. He would be in the air within 3 hours.
Amara Okafor. Former GCHQ. Skilled. Trained. Dangerous.
He had underestimated her. He wouldn't make that mistake again. By tomorrow morning, he would be in London. By tomorrow night, he would have her location. And then, this would end. The way these things always ended. Cross looked up at the Lagos sky. Blue. Cloudless. Beautiful in its indifference. Somewhere out there, Amara Okafor thought she was winning. Thought she was one step ahead. She was wrong. The hunter was coming. Somewhere in East London, Amara Okafor sat in her hostel room, watching the sunrise through a dirty window. The portable drive sat on the bed beside her. 12 gigabytes of secrets. Her brother's death, documented. 147 disappearances, archived. Evidence that could bring down an empire. But she couldn't read most of it. The encryption was beyond her capabilities. She needed the cipher. And the cipher was biological. Locked in the biometrics of Nexus executives. The Nairobi Protocol. 2019. 5 journalists killed, including Emeka. But the file had mentioned something else. A survivor. One of the original targets who had somehow escaped. A journalist in Kenya who was supposed to be dead but wasn't. If she could find him, if he was still alive, maybe he could tell her what he knew. Maybe he could help her get close to a Nexus operative. She had to go to Nairobi. But first, she had a promise to keep. David Okoro. the man who had risked everything to help her. She opened her phone and made a call. An immigration lawyer she'd known in another life. A woman who owed her a favor. The conversation was brief. The favor was accepted. In 6 months, Araeze Okoro would be in London with her son. It was a small thing. One family reunited against all the families torn apart. But it was something. A small light in the darkness. Amara looked at the drive again.